everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the In Between the Stitches podcast. I am your host, Brady Wilson, with my co-host, Chase Olschwanger.
We are live.
We are live,
And we are back.
and we're on camera this time, so no more. We have a face cam reveal now. Hopefully, it does as much numbers as most face cam reveals do for YouTube channels.
Yeah, I expect a minimum of 1 million views on this.
Exactly. And as usual, we have the same camera. We have the same microphone problems. I'll probably be dropping my pen. There is construction behind us. Like, we can hear it. If you guys can hear it, I'm sorry in advance. But Chase, it is the first episode of the semester, and we have a lot to get to because we don't do anything over the summer. And so because of that, we miss a lot, like the Mavs getting the number 1 overall pick and then drafting Cooper Flagg, like the Stars playing well, then not playing well, like the Rangers on an emotional roller coaster. Hey, I have a censor button now. It's somewhere on here eventually. We're trying the intro music. I think I might have messed it up a little bit. I didn't let it go. We're trying to do a fun little production. Hey,
Give us some time here.
Give us some time to figure all this out. This is definitely the first one, but first of many here in the studio.
Yes.
So thank you, everyone, Dean Marshall at DCTV for allowing us to use this podcast studio. And, thank you to KNTU for allowing us to use their green studio for so long. It was nice, but I do think this is a better upgrade. Plus, Chase has an internship now, and we'll probably have to do some remote episodes, and we can do calls, which is perfect. So this studio just allows us to work through our schedules a little better. But let's start with the Dallas Stars. Q Pantera. I don't have that. Can't play it for copyright reasons. Well, we left off after Game 1 of Winnipeg. They won. Mikko Rantanen in Winnipeg decided to just keep, putting the team on his back. And we were up 1-0. And then I think they tied it. And then we won. And when we eventually get to Game 6 in Dallas.
I was there.
You were there.
Quick little plug.
In Winnipeg in Game 5, we were struggling a little bit. Hellebuck was playing out of his mind. And, we were just we could not generate anything on offense. And so, you don't want to say de facto, because we were up 3-2. So you go back to Winnipeg for Game 7, if they win, the Jets. But Game 7 in Winnipeg, the way Hellebuck was playing, it kind of felt like you just got to wrap it up in Game 6 or else you're going to have a lot of problems. And the Stars did that.
Yep.
I think it was, who was it that had the goal?
Harley that had the game
winner. No, I know Harley had the game winner, but Winnipeg took a 1-0 lead.
Oh.
And then I think it was Sam Steele.
I think it was Steele, yeah.
Had a nice little wrister to tie it, and then it goes to overtime. And then Thomas Harley, the breakout defenseman for the Stars, decides to bury an overtime winner. And then, some not so fun things happened. Well, Game 1 was fantastic.
Game 1 was great.
We got down, and then it was just a barrage of scoring from no one was scoring twice. It was just, Granlund scored, and then I think, Sagan scored, and then Duchesne scored, and it just, everyone was scoring, and you felt really good going into Game 2.
And even that, the first 2 periods, they were really bad. And in that third period, something clicked, and they ended up, winning that game. And it still haunts me where at the end of the game, where they show McDavid and Draisaitl on the bench together, kind of looking into the distance, and you're like, oh, we know that they don't want this to happen again. And, that's all the positive news we have on the start of the season after that. If you want to go ahead and talk about games 2 through 5, you can.
Well, you had the slash from Darnell Nurse on Rope Hintz, and just... You didn't generate anything on offense. You couldn't stop them on defense. And then obviously in the final game that they played, Pete DeBoer yanks the Otter out of the net.
Which cost him his job.
Probably cost him his job. And it just spiraled and spiraled and spiraled and spiraled and spiraled. And it never got better for the Stars. But now we move to the offseason.
I will say, though, also, Edmonton was just a better team.
Oh, yeah.
They've had their fights the last couple of years, and they've been equal during the regular season. But, you look at the playoffs, and that's when it matters, and Edmonton takes care of business. But, last year specifically, or this previous season, they were just better in every aspect. They had better goalkeeping, they had better offense, they had better defense. They were just too big of a match for the Stars, and, it's an unfortunate way that they went out, but, they didn't lose games that they had a chance to win. They never had a chance to win in any of them, except for, Even game 1 was lucky, but after that, they had no shot at all. So
We did not play well, and hopefully we can just improve on next season, and maybe we can get those guys.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like you're.
hopefully someone else
you're-
can get to them for us, so we don't have to worry about them.
Oh, the Kings, we thought the Kings were going to get to them, and then
Yeah.
the Kings decided they didn't want to do that for us. So,
Nope.
thank you, Kings. Now we start the offseason. Obviously, Pete DeBoer fired. First time I think it's been a while if it's ever happened under Jim Nill, where he fired a coach instead of just letting their contract run. He doesn't like to fire coaches, we know that. But he fires DeBoer, a guy that has, back-to-back Western Conference Finals appearances,
Undefeated in a game 7.
undefeated in Game 7s, but
He made one bad move, and
I
that's-
think he just felt like, look, we got to win, and maybe we've seen a new voice. And they hired, and I've heard a couple different pronunciations.
previously hired.
I think it's Glenn Gulutzan,
Sounds about right.
who was our head coach before, and I believe had a very unceremonious end to his Stars tenure. But now he's back, better than ever, and we stole him from Edmonton. So maybe he can, slip us the tricks that has been giving them all the success. Except maybe we'll beat Florida instead of them losing to Florida. But
Congratulations to Florida, by the way.
congratulations. I mean, hey, they're
They keep the cup in America.
Florida hockey teams right now. The Lightning were coming off a dynasty. The Panthers are well on their way to a dynasty. I mean,
one more.
one more, and you're a dynasty.
Yep.
But now we get to our moves. Obviously, the first one that we did was Matt Duchene, 4-year extension. Little old, so 4 years, but I mean, he's been one of your top goal scorers. You
Yeah.
just need him to produce in the playoffs, and I mean, that was the thing was that we talked about in the playoffs, whether it was during the Colorado series, but especially in the Winnipeg and the Edmonton series, we weren't doing a podcast, we were talking about it, was, man, we're not getting scoring from the guys that have been giving us scoring all season.
Yeah, Robertson only clicked the last couple games of the Edmonton series, and I mean, like you said, kind of the way you said it, you can't win these series without your top guys, producing,
Yeah.
and that's been a problem for the Stars over the last couple of years, where they have their guys who are fantastic throughout the regular season, and then just for whatever the reason crumble when it comes to playoff time, and that's something the Stars are trying to address. And hopefully Duchene, with the extension, maybe that gives them a little bit of confidence. Maybe that gives them some sort of boost to play well throughout not just all 82 games, but the playoffs as well.
Yeah, and then obviously the Stars had to make a lot of cap space. And the first one of those cap casualties was Mason Marchment, dealt to Seattle for, I believe we just got a
pick.
4th-round pick and a 3rd-round pick. I mean, so not a couple late-round picks, especially in hockey terms. It's nothing. Don't think in football terms. They're completely different. Look, I mean, Marchment has been somewhat important to our success, especially on a team that doesn't really establish physicality. He's been that guy that really...
Sometimes too much.
Sometimes too much, which definitely gets us in trouble in the playoffs. But, it sucks to see him go. But I think you felt like, okay, we'd rather have the cap space than the guy. And then we signed Nils Lundkvist to a 1-year deal. We re-signed Maverick Bourque. I'm just kind of going in chronological order here. We re-signed Jamie Benn to a 1-year contract extension. So the captain will be returning for another year. Hopefully this year we get him a ring.
Returning and also most likely retiring here in Dallas.
Most likely.
So
And of course, hopefully a full season of Tyler Seguin, knock on wood, And then we re-signed Colin Blackwell, who was a playoff hero in the Colorado series, that overtime winner. And then we re-signed old buddy Radek Faksa to a 3-year deal. He is going to be a nice addition to that 4th line. Add some physicality, add some thump. We called up our head coach of the Texas Stars. I think it's Neil Graham, to the major league staff. So we hired a new AHL coach, but he was someone that was in the running for the Stars head coaching gig. And so we just brought him on as an assistant coach. So maybe there's the future of the Stars right there. We don't know. Another cap casualty, Matt Dumba was traded to the Penguins. Oh no, I'm so sad. And then we traded for maybe the best name on our entire team, which is Vladislav Kolyachonok.
good pronunciation.
It's
Better than I could have done.
Hold on, Vladislav Kolyachonok. I tell you, hey, I nailed it pretty much on the first one.
There you go.
He's probably going to be one of those. He shuffles between the minors and the majors and blah blah blah. So whatever. You got Dumba off the team, which I think a lot of us were wanting.
Look, I think everything the Stars did in the offseason, I know you're going to get to probably the biggest loss here in a second if you haven't got there already. I don't believe you have. But everything the Stars did, I think, whether it was for making cap or just getting guys off your team who, cost you in certain areas, I think everything they did was good.
Yeah.
And I think they made the right moves, except, look, you got a lot of money AAV-wise, but, the loss of, I know you'll get there, but I'll just go ahead and do there for you, the loss of Gramlin to Anaheim. And
Yeah, that one sucks. Obviously,
Yeah.
and CC is gone.
And CC.
Thanks to the Kings. Look, I mean, this is what happens when you trade for rentals. They might leave.
Yep.
And I really do think Granlund wanted to be back here, especially with the whole Finnish mafia thing. But I just think he's looking at this as, would I rather have a ring? But this is also my last chance at a really big payday. Maybe I can get a ring later. We'll see. And then we also signed a guy named Nathan Bastian, who he kind of flies around and hits. He's depth. Lutz, which is what I'm going to pronounce, it is just the head coach. I'm just going to say Lutz because I think it's a lot easier, or Lutz. I think it's just a lot easier than Galutzen every time. He has definitely mentioned that he wants to bring back physicality to the Stars team, that he wants us to play fast, wants us to play physical, that, DeBoer was more about let's space things out, and then when we get around the net, it just kind of, we want to collapse there, but we don't really want to fly around and hit people. That's not the way we play. I think Lutz really, really, really wants to bring that style of hockey back to the Stars.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's something that they need. I mean, you can't win the Stanley Cup without being physical. It's the most challenging championship in the world, in my opinion, to go and do what these guys do on a nightly basis.
Yeah.
You need that physicality. And I think, he's saying the right things, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then we move. I don't want to just completely go away from the Stars, but unfortunately we have to get to 3 other things, and this is
It's been a long summer.
This is the first episode of the summer, so it always is a long one.
I have a feeling this next segment might take a little longer too.
The Dallas Mavericks. Okay, I'm gonna give my opinion, and me and Chase differ in our opinion. More because I am more of a conspiracy theorist than he is, and this is one of those I'm not joking. I'm not I'm definitely on the we traded Luka for Cooper Flag train. It just makes too much sense for Luka to go, hey, well, you give us Luka in LA, we'll give you Cooper Flag, and we'll do some nice things for you, and can't prove it, so I won't this is probably the last time that I mention it on here, just because I cannot prove it. But if it comes out in 20 years that's what happened, I would be not at all shocked. It would be very expected for me.
Yeah, look, and obviously, not just Brady, I had my thoughts as well, and as did everybody else in the world once the Mavs won the lottery. But look, I'll tell you a couple things. One, why give Luka to LA if you're guaranteed Cooper Flag? If you could just keep Luka. Just keep Luka. You already were in the finals. You don't need to give up Luka for someone who hasn't even played a game in the NBA. So that already knocks that out of the question.
We've already established that Nico Harrison is not exactly the most basketball savvy person in the world, Chase.
Also, it is against federal law to rig something like this. Not that people wouldn't or haven't done it.
Tim Donaghy.
Not saying it hasn't been done, but it is against federal law.
I had a rat in my throat. Sorry.
It is against federal law, and it is not legal. Also, something that I like to stress a lot that I've heard, a bunch of people stressing. You go into draft night, and the Mavs have a 98.2% chance to not land the number 1 pick, 1.8% chance to win it. The number 1 team still has an 86% chance to not get the number 1 pick. Look, that's every team every year goes in with around an 80 to 90% chance of not winning the number 1 pick, even if you're the worst team in the league. And look, 90% chance to not win something. It is luck of the draw. It is the luckiest thing that I can think of in the history of sports.
But it's so lucky fishy that it happens the same year.
Yes, of course.
You trade Luka, not just to any team. You didn't trade him to Charlotte or Houston or the Thunder or the Nut. You traded him to the Dallas Cowboys of the NBA. If there is one team that Adam Silver wants star players on, it's the Lakers.
Yeah. I look, I totally get where you're coming from, but also you got to think about Nico has said multiple times, defense wins championships, and however stupid Tony wants to talk in that day. There's no other guy out there that you're going to go after better than AD in that role. There's just not.
Yeah, but you know what else wins championships, Chase?
Being on the floor.
No,
Yes.
no. Scoring more points than the other team.
Look,
which
really
Luka did extremely well in his career here.
Look,
no one's happy about the trade still.
No, of course not. Nobody will ever forgive, and this is an unforgivable thing that has happened here. I mean, this will forever be the worst moment in the history of sports. It's also the biggest bailout in the history of sports. And now I will say this. We, as Mavs fans, we deserve it. We deserve this.
Mavs fans.
The front office, they do not deserve it, obviously. But the fans, for what we just had to go through, I mean, I can't think, at least in my sports, you know, the 2014 Cowboys, the 2020 Stars, whatever, the 2011 Rangers. This was the worst moment for me in the history of sports. And, you know, it's the fact that we're sitting here, that we're going to get into, you know, a little more about the Mavs here in a second, but the fact that we're sitting here, and I don't know about you, but at least for me, I'm looking forward to the season, is just insane. If you would have told me that 5 months ago, 6 months ago, that we'd have still, after trading your global icon, that we'd still have a good chance of winning the NBA championship. But look, I mean, we've said it obviously on the show many times. It's awful. We will always support Luka still, and you know, every time he comes into town, it'll always feel like a Lakers home game, and more people being there for Luka than it is for the Mavs. But it's going to be an interesting season, and
yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And it's just crazy to think that I'm looking forward to a season where we just went through the worst possible thing ever. And, you know, fast forwarding, you know, to July 25th, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flag. And it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And I'm really excited to embrace Coop. I hope the whole entire Dallas community embraces him and the entire team.
But
and,
it's just,
you know, support these guys in winning a championship.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, it's like, okay, you have like a laptop, right? It's the best laptop. Yeah, you have a phone. It's the best phone in the world. Or it's one of the best, like top 3 phone in the world, right? It may have like a scratch or two here and there. It might have an annoying little quirk, but you love this phone. You've had it for several years. It's still one of the best in the world. Someone comes along and takes a baseball bat to it and just like right in front of you, ties you up and like makes you watch it be destroyed in a very methodical and painful way. And then says, oh, but wait, here, I'm going to give you this new phone that you have no emotional connection to. You're still grieving the loss of your last phone, but here's a new one. You'd be like, to clean up the language, the hell is this? I don't want this. I want that. You broke the one that I had. I want the one you broke. I don't want this new one. This new one may not be as good as this one. This I don't know this phone. The same thing, right? I know. Really
good little story.
Really deep metaphor, Brady. But like, we had someone and a player that we loved, we cared about, we grew up watching, and then he was just taken from us, just like that.
Yeah.
Without any warning.
And unfortunately, one person has the power to affect millions and millions of people.
This wasn't requested a trade. This wasn't Carmelo in Denver, right? This wasn't I want out. This wasn't they might trade him because they don't want to pay him. This was everyone expects Luka back. We're all good. Life is great. And then just out of complete nowhere, right? We've told the story. Chase calls me. Life-changing news, Brady. I'm not telling you, just go on Twitter. Which if he says go on Twitter, I know it's bad, but I'm just bracing for how bad. I was bracing
You're not thinking that we, traded our
I don't know what I was
superstar.
bracing for, but I was not. I was bracing for, I don't know, Dak Prescott breaks hand and is out for career over. I was expecting something like that. I wasn't.
Don't want that.
I wasn't expecting
Don't want that. Happen.
the Mavs. The Mavs trading Luka Doncic would have been probably near the bottom of my list. It may have even been on the list of things that I would have expected to be popping up on my phone, and yet it happened, and we got a decent player, an old, broken down superstar, still a superstar, but old, broken down.
Look, from all
and
the things,
one, not two, not like 4 or 5, not some pick swaps. You got 1 first-round pick in 2029, Chase. You wanted to think I'm going to be almost 25 years old when we use that pick. I want you to think about that for a second.
I don't, because I'll be, 28, 27?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like, you may have a kid when we use
No, I won't. No, I
won't. We're going to be old and gray when that first round pick is used, right? Like, we're not, like, it is completely asinine that was the return.
But look, for all the stuff and all the negative things that have been said, obviously about the Mavs and whatever, look, you got to stop underrating Anthony Davis. This dude, when I know, day to Davis, day to day, he needs to be on the floor. When he is on the floor,
Who's going to tell him?
AD is one of the most productive players in the history of the game. Not can he only score 25 a game on 25 a game and pick up 14 boards a game. He won't allow people to score and have 3 blocks and 2 steals, and he's one of the best two-way players in the history of the game. And I know he's 32, and he sometimes has trouble staying on the floor. Look, he played 76 games last year. 2 years ago.
Time out. He sometimes has struggles with staying on the floor.
Look, go look at his career games played. He has only had realistically 1 or maybe 2 seasons where he's played less than 50 games. And not saying that 50 games is anything amazing or anything. Like, you still want to play 60, 65, 70 games a year as a superstar. Obviously, you're going to need your days off, but you still want to play at least 60, 70 games.
He sometimes has a problem with staying. Tom Brady sometimes has a problem with going to the playoffs.
Look, I'm just saying,
he's a broken down
if you look at his career in the games that he's played, he averages probably 65 games a season, including 2 years ago. Obviously, last season with the Mavs, and then the year before that with the Lakers. And you can correct me on this. I think it was 2020.
I'm fact checking you.
2023. I believe he played 76 games.
I'm fact checking you. Give me a second.
Go ahead. I believe he played 76 games, 74, 76 range.
The internet here sucks, so you're just gonna have to give it a second. But
you're good. Go ahead. I'll watch you here.
We can't have dead air, but
no, but
with AD,
I get the stereotypical argue on him. I get it. He's not on the floor. I get it. But if you're looking here, you see 64.
Whoa! Last year,
last
year he played 51 games. He played 76 and 23.
There you go.
23, 24. I'm not going to say it like this. Year before that, 56. Year before that, 40. Year before that, 36.
Well, COVID year.
Okay. Year before that, 62, 56, 75, 61, 68, 67. But
if you're
the point is look,
it's not as bad as people make it sound. That's what I'm saying. It's not as bad as people make it sound. And he just played a season of 76 games. When AD is on the floor, he has the potential of being an MVP. That's all I'm saying.
He played 36 games in 2020, 2021.
That's COVID year.
Yeah, but it's 72 games out of 72. I literally just clicked on the Lakers schedule. 2020, 2021, that season.
Well, guess what? They also won the NBA Finals. So
you're thinking of 29. You're thinking
of 1920.
You're thinking of 1920. No,
that was
you're thinking of baseball, the 60-game season.
No,
it was really shortened year. No, that was no. See, the amount of games they played is still not minimally decreased. So no,
but I did say that he's had 2 seasons where he really didn't play up to par on what you want him to play. Obviously, we all want him to play 82 games, but if you're looking at it, and there's 60 plus in the majority of his seasons, and
yeah, his first few years in the league, 12, 13 years ago, he was playing 60 games a season.
But even recently, I mean, yeah, there's a few years there where excluding the COVID year.
Look, it's
But look, that's besides the point. We're going a little off topic.
It's worrying.
It is, and we want AD to be on the floor. You can't win without him. But
for his career,
anyway, it doesn't. Going back to what we were talking about, it doesn't make up for the fact of trading Luka. There's something more in the city wants than Luka to be in a Maverick uniform.
It sucks in almost every regard.
Yeah, but
and still does.
We have Cooper Flag coming in October, and he's got the potential to be an all-world generational talent. Just like something we had, but we didn't know it at the time. We had no expectations for Luka. We were just, we drafted another European white guy. Hopefully he could be Dirk. That'd be awesome. And guess what? As much as I love Dirk, he would have been better. And it's crazy to say that.
But guess what? We traded him, so it doesn't matter. Now we do have to keep it moving.
No,
we gotta go to the Rangers. Oh boy.
we can just say Rangers are down 2-1.
By the way, we started with the fun team in DFW. Okay, it's all down. I should have prefaced this. It's all downhill from the Stars. Okay, the Stars are up here. You move down to the Mavericks, then you kind of go up a bit maybe with the Rangers. Still not to where the Stars are. Right, Stars are here. Okay, Mavericks are here. Go back a little up to the Rangers, and then the Cowboys just take a nosedive through the floor and into hell. Okay, essentially. Dante could have written books about the Cowboys right now, okay? For the intellectuals, you might get the reference. Anyway, the Rangers. So many expectations coming into the season. And it has just, by the way, it's tied 4-4 right now. So
we remember that.
Yippee.
Okay.
We have not been consistent.
Good call, by the way. Vinny Pasquantino, home run 5-4.
Well, hey, I started him in fantasy. I've started him all 4 games. He is homered in all 4 games. I just want that to be clear.
Corey Seager's 3 for 3. It's just nice.
Of course. So right as we tie the game.
Jacob Webb's first game back, by the way.
So we're losing 5-4. Inconsistent has been, I think, the name of this season. You're wasting a fully healthy year of DeGrom and Eovaldi. But I'll start with the bright spots. DeGrom and Evo have been awesome, as advertised. Leiter has taken a huge step forward in his development as a pitcher. To anyone, no one in particular in DFW, that might think Jack Leiter's a bust.
I never called him a bust, by the way.
No,
he's just looking at me.
This isn't football. No, this isn't football. This isn't 2 years after you're drafted and you can kind of tell. This isn't lineman from Michigan, where you know from the second you draft them, or you should.
Who are you referring to?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. This is baseball, where you can draft a guy, and then 6 years later, he's 24 and just now breaking into the big leagues. Okay? That's baseball. Things don't happen very quickly sometimes. In fact, most of the time, they don't happen quickly. Wyatt Langford is a humongous anomaly in the realm of baseball prospects, having a half a season in the minors and then never. In fact,
never looking back.
People are trying to say, "Oh yeah, he said he was the next Mike Trout," but okay, this is normally like right now. This probably would have been his rookie year. In some cases, he would have been in AAA pretty much all of last year, or at least AA for a short portion, and then moved to AAA. Hold on the camera. Oh yeah. Remember with the camera, be careful not to do any like thumbs up or anything.
Oh yeah, I know. It's just I think I was looking at it and it was a little delayed with some of.
Yeah, I was having some moments of spotty, so I'm trying not to like have my hands out. I'm trying to keep my hands behind the computer, and when I do, I'm kind of talking like this. I'm doing the Italian thing here. The Rangers have just been highly inconsistent, but Leiter has been, if he can when he commands his stuff, he's really good.
Yeah.
Corbin has been a weird.
Lifesaver.
Fun thing in this season. Rocker has taken some steps forward. As I know some people may not think that, but he has. What are the other bright spots, Chase? Rowdy Tellez is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Corey Seager's a Hall of Famer, probably. Wyatt Langford shows brilliance. Same with Evan Carter. But overall, things are not fun.
They just, from the,
the
Jock Peterson to Jake Berger to Higashioka, Higashioka at least has been playing as we expected him to recently. The acquisitions of Berger and Jock and the contracts that were given to Jock,
Look, Jock's been hot lately.
Yeah,
Ever since he came back, he's been hot.
It's just it's not what we all expected. It's a huge underperformance, if that's even
And look,
the right way to say it. But it's just been disappointing, and you kind of just want the season to be over and let CY get to off season and just kind of see what he can do from here, and go trade for Ketel Marte, sign Kyle Schwarber, something like that.
I think DFW fans have PTSD from dealing with Jerry so much. Jerry doesn't care. He doesn't care to be aggressive anymore. He just doesn't. The other,
Nico Harrison is an imbecile.
He's aggressive, but not in a good way.
So people think that every GM in DFW fans seem to think that every GM, right?
Just have.
CY, and I've wanted to say this in our little group chat I'm going to say you and other people, not just you, where I'm like, okay, not you as much, more of some of the other people. Because you don't do this as much, but it seems like there are people that think professional athletes wake up and go, I can't wait to suck at my job today.
Right.
Jock Peterson, I can't wait to go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts and swing at one in the right-handed batter's box. No, these guys care. If you're playing professional sports, you're competitive. These guys want to win. They want to live up to their contract. And when they don't, it can make things worse sometimes because it eats at them and it eats at them. And when Jock is a DH, all he's thinking about are his at-bats. And so when that's all you're thinking about and you're struggling, you just kind of sink deeper and deeper. Same with CY. There are fans on Twitter that seem to think CY just likes losing. Dude is highly competitive. He has made the moves he has made have not worked out. So what you got to do is you regroup in the offseason. Look, season's not over. Everyone knows me. I smoke the hopium. But I'm kind of giving up on this year, to be honest. I'm ready for football. But I'm just kind of excited to watch. The Brewers are a really fun team. By the way, there really isn't anything other big in the NBA or in NHL to cover. Just honestly, not.
There's obviously been some trades, and like Durant to the Rockets. That's
Durant to the Rockets.
Big news.
When the season gets closer, we'll probably talk a little more about the offseason moves.
Yeah.
Just for everyone's just like, so I am going to talk about like MLB for a second, and people are like, why did you talk about the NHL and NBA? It's gonna be a fun stretch run, just not for the Rangers. I mean, at this point, I'm a Mariners fan. Please dethrone Houston. If they can dethrone Houston, hey, successful season in my book.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want to see happen. I just want to see Houston lose. Even if they have to go to the playoffs, good for them. We give them a little clap and we move on. Because they're not a very good team. I don't know how they're winning, honestly. And it sucks because if you look at our expected win-loss record, it's fantastic.
It is fantastic, yeah.
And so it's just like I feel like this is kind of like 2022. We're just super unlucky.
The first half of the season was the bats not being able to do anything. The second half is still the bats, but then now the bullpen has just completely collapsed where they have the second best ERA in the entire league, but they've also allowed the second most blown saves in the league. So they're not a good bullpen, but they are better when there's I don't even know. They're not a good bullpen.
What it tells me is that
the problem. This was the problem from the beginning of the year, and I had complained about this, before the season even started. They never went out and got a closer, and that's now 100 games in. That's now it's showing. Fortunately, Robert Garcia kind of stepped in and had a great first half. He was our closer, and he was the guy you could rely on to go win you this game and shut it down. That's done, and then from just flipping back and forth, like Boch just hasn't been able to find a guy, and well, that's what you never went out and got a closer, so you can't put all your eggs in one basket and just hope this guy can find a way back from a slump and save some games for you. But no, he's just trying everything he can, and nobody is built for this sort of situation, and they haven't been able to get the job done.
What it tells me that blown save ERA thing is that all of our games are so close, and you can't expect if you have 10 games where you have a 1-run lead going into the 7th, right? And you have to expect the bullpen to basically essentially throw 30 innings of shutout ball. That's impossible. And so when they inevitably give up a run or two, you lose the game because your offense just can't score.
Right.
And so that's what the stat tells me is that, yeah, the bullpen's imploding, but also the offense
Yeah.
is doing just enough to like either tie it or get one ahead, and then
They're just too reliant on their pitching.
we're too reliant on like no bullpen is going to come in and just be perfect.
And this season, Rangers go down by one. Whether it's 1 or 2 in the 7th or 8th inning, I have no confidence. They go down 2-1 in the 7th inning. It's over.
Now I was at the game where I was at the first Diamondback game where
Look, that was awesome. Yes.
Langford and then
But there was also a lot of time left in that game.
Rowdy tied it, and it was magical. And I thought, here comes the run, and then just 2 gut punches, and then what was after that? You went to Toronto, right?
Yeah. Well, it all kind of started with the final Yankee game.
Yeah.
Because they were looking to sweep the Yankees and take over that final walk. If they beat they were tied. And if they beat the Yankees in that 3rd game of the series, they would have secured that 6th and final wild card spot. That didn't happen, and ever since there, that was where it went downhill.
And you were coming off the trade deadline too,
Right.
like, and you had won one in Seattle. Merrill Kelly had started that game. You had beaten the Yankees, like you said, 2 in a row, and then you had Philadelphia swept.
Yeah, that was
dropped
just,
2 of 3 from Arizona. Dropped 2 of 3 from Toronto. You've dropped 2 of the 3 from Kansas City right now, and you're losing the 4th one. I mean, you were just, and I said, we're not doing the show, but I did the math. I felt like we would have to win 90 games to really have a good chance at the playoffs. Starting at the All-Star break, we would have had to basically take 2 of 3 take 2 in every series. That includes the 4-game series. So just if you split the 4 games and take 2 or 3 in every series, you'll win 90 games. You'll be in the playoffs.
it's just not
And
sound
then
likely. Yeah.
You took 2 or 3 from Detroit, and you swept the Athletics, and you swept the Braves. And I thought, great, you gained 2 extra games there. The Rangers have a really good shot. And then you dropped an extra one to the Angels. Cool, you gained 1 back. You dropped an extra one in Seattle. Cool, you gained it back. Take 2 or 3 from the Yankees. We're right back where we need to be. And then
August hits.
Philadelphia imploded. Arizona imploded. Toronto imploded. Kansas City, you're imploding right now. You're running, and you do not have much time left. You have Cleveland.
Rangers literally have to win every game.
Here's the rest of the season. Cleveland and the Angels come into town. Then you go to Sacramento. That feels weird to say.
Yeah.
And then you go to Arizona. Come back for Houston and the Red Hot Brewers. Maybe not then, but right now, red hot. Go to the Mets. Go to Houston. Come back for Miami and Minnesota. Go to Cleveland to finish out the season.
It sounds like a bloodbath, and it just
just sounds like you are going to have to play not just 500 ball. You have got to play like 900 ball to have a shot at going to the playoffs. Thankfully, the one good thing is you do have 6 against Cleveland, who are ahead of you. And so that gives you a chance to take a few of, take some from them. You've got, 6 against Houston? So there's you another chance to really, you don't have to play Seattle anymore, thank God.
Yeah, but Rangers might be the worst team in the history of baseball when it comes to playing in Seattle.
But it just, the Rangers have been so inconsistent. I have no faith that they're going to climb out of this hole. Even with Bochy, even with all the talent that we have on the roster, I have not seen the performance this year, and heads are going to roll. Guys that, in 2023, it looked like the start of a run because Garcia was old, but he was like 30, 31, right? So he's getting older. But you had Lowe and Heim and Young, and you had Simeon and Seager as the pillars with no sign of slowing down from either of them. You had Langford and Carter on the horizon. It looked like the start of a run. And then Heim, his bat has regressed. Defense hasn't, thankfully. Lowe was traded because his bat regressed and his defense regressed. Hopefully he does well in Boston. I think he will do well in Boston. Short porch.
I don't know if
right
you saw
field.
him, but he's hit that 2-run game-tying home run, which was huge. They ended up losing that game, but what a moment for his debut.
So, and then he's back with Aroldis Chapman, his buddy that he was looking at with the way we should all be looked at by somebody. Simeon has regressed. Seager honestly has regressed.
He's regressed, but again,
if you look at his total numbers, he's regressed. Young has stagnated. He kind of stayed where he was in 2023. Garcia, the inconsistencies, there have been more. Usually with Garcia, there's highs and lows. Problem is there's been more lows than highs this year.
the defense has never been a problem.
No. Carter, unfortunately, this is just going to be the story of his career. He's just hurt. But when he's on the field, he's very effective. Same with Langford. You're not the injury part, but you're expecting something huge from him this year, and he's still kind of where he was last year, right? He'll probably hit 20 to 25 home runs. He'll probably steal 20 bases if he already hasn't.
He'll play pretty good defense. He will probably hit 240, maybe 250. Like, he's just he's not really improving. Sorry.
You're fine.
And that's
My dad's a big advocate for Langford specifically to get that average up. I mean,
and so that's just where I'm frustrated by the Rangers is that these guys that you expected to continue to take steps forward and or continue the success they were on, whether it was and that would be like Garcia, Seager, and Simeon. They've all just like regressed. They've all and there are some people that think maybe this is just how good they are. And 23 was I don't like the word fluke because it feels like you didn't earn it. Maybe 23 was an anomaly.
look, 2023, they all just happened to have career years. That was it. That's it. Sure, it could be a little fluky. It could be a little fishy. There's nothing fishy about it, but like
Whoa.
nothing fishy. But they just all had their best year in the same year.
It wasn't even that. That 23 team gets a little inflated. It wasn't like we were slaying everybody in the regular season. We were struggling that second half. We were not good. We were kind of like where we are right now. We were not a good baseball team.
Yeah.
But we squeaked in and then got blazing hot. I think that group just took it so personal that they had a chance to come back home, not have to go play in the wild card. Bregman saying, I guess we'll never know, right? I think they took it they were on a mission. They went to Tampa Bay. They slayed them. I mean, they and I don't mean that in like the funny new like Gen Alpha stupid way slay. I mean like a knight slaying a dragon like by beheading it. That's what I mean.
Yes.
I want to make it clear. I hate the slang version of that word. I want to make that crystal clear.
Oh, wow.
They bludgeon Baltimore to death in 3 games. Take the first 2 from Houston, get knocked down to the canvas the next 3, get right back up and knock Houston on their you-know-what those last 2 games.
Yep.
And then you played Arizona, and things got rocky, especially with the fact that if you lose that Game 5, you've got Merrill Kelly Game 6, you lose probably, even though it's at home. And then Game 7, you don't have a starter because Scherzer got hurt. So it's bullpen game versus Brandon Pfaadt in Game 7 of the World Series, which would have been the weirdest game in the history of the World Series. But thankfully, you put it away in Game 5. We just have no magic anymore. And I know the team is frustrated by Young. I know they're frustrated by Garcia's bat. They're frustrated by Heim's bat. I think you're going to have a lot of changes this offseason from the Rangers. Not coaching, of course.
And look,
I
think Boch might be done. But
from a player standpoint, I think you're going to see a very different 2025 team.
And I'm looking forward to that. I want to see some change. I still want Simeon and Seager to be our 2 guys.
Yeah.
But I want to see change. I want to, as much as I love these guys, and guess what? They will forever be loved here.
Yep.
Garcia, he will always be loved. Heim will always be loved. Lowe, all those guys on the 2023 team will always be loved.
Yep.
But you got to move on. And
Yep.
Unfortunately, they just aren't going to be, key points on your roster when it comes to winning a World Series. And I'm very interested to see. I know CY's going to have a lot of work to do this offseason. And I'm very interested to see what he does, what he addresses, where he goes after. Does he splurge? Not sure if Davis wants to spend any more money.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to go out, there's some big guys out there this offseason. And I don't know, obviously with Simeon and Seager on their books, I don't know how big they want to go, but I want to see some change. And I'm looking forward to next season.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to hope that, and you're kind of stuck in the Jock contract, so you just have to hope that maybe he continues this success.
Like you said earlier, he has shown a lot of more improvements of higher exit velos off his bat, even if they're resulting in outs.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll get to next year, and then we got to move to Dallas. We're already about 45 minutes, so we're going to have to make this one a little bit quicker. But thankfully, we've already done like the draft and all that, so we don't have to like recap all of that. But we have to talk. So frustrating about the Dallas Cowboys, and I wish. Hold on, this is just my, You hear that, Chase? That's the negotiating table right now for the Cowboys. Very frustrating. So here's what I'm going to be doing for us so that we don't say anything. This is going to be a very useful button when we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Did we address the offseason trade?
I don't. We traded for George Pickens.
Yeah.
Yay!
I'm not sure if we did or not.
Just in case we didn't, I'm excited about that.
I'm excited. It's
Look,
awesome.
look. I mean, this is probably the best receiver CeeDee Lamb has ever played with at the current moment. I know he played with Cooper. I'm not saying Cooper's a bad receiver. I'm just saying I think Pickens. This is probably going to be this is like the start of his prime.
Right.
Cooper, sorry. I'm keep hitting his leg.
You're fine.
Cooper was not really in his prime anymore. I wouldn't say, but he was still really, really good. This is potentially the best receiver that CeeDee Lamb's ever played with in the pros, and Lamb's in his prime. So, hey,
It's all on Dak to stay healthy. That's what it is.
and that's not fair to Dak.
It's
It's on
not.
Dak to stay healthy. No, it's
Well, no, it's on everybody. I don't want injuries for anybody.
We gotta-
All 32 teams in the league.
we got to protect Dak.
Protect Dak. And hopefully,
so-
when he gets hit, he stays healthy.
We start with the offensive line. Obviously, Beebe, Smith, Steele, fine. They've been here. They've played together. We're cool. Guyton dodged an absolute
Had a scare.
bullet.
Had a scare.
You texted me that. I was pissed. And then I turned on 105.3. They were at Oxnard, and Voch Lombardi, who I absolutely love his content, was like, "Hey, I'm not supposed to. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but like, I was standing next to him after practice, and he wasn't even like in a brace. He wasn't on crutches. Like, I think he had like wrapped or something.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't like if he had a torn ACL, why is he out here walking on it? He's like, I don't know. I just don't think it may have been torn. And then turns out I think fractured something in his knee.
Yeah. I mean,
He'll probably be back week 2, week 3. I expect him to miss maybe even a couple regular season games. I know they said like he could be back week 1. This is the land of sports where this isn't Madden where it gives you a week and it is that week. It obviously things happen. Rehab, obviously things with setbacks and oh crap, he rehurt it. Don't want that to happen. Or oh crap, there's just there are complications with injuries, and so in professional, especially with linemen, they're big guys.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go through this team. Guyton, when healthy, I think he's gonna take some steps forward. Booker looked really good in the preseason game. He had, he had some misses naturally. He's a rookie. It's gonna take, there's an adjustment period there, but he had a really nice wall off against them where they ran right behind him, and he took his guy, walled him off. If you don't know what that means. Here's the lineman, right? Defensive lineman here. Basically, you just take him, you move him, and you get your back to the running back, essentially. You're walling him off, right? They're not getting around you.
it's funny. I was watching the preseason game, and in my back of my mind, I was like, I know Brady's watching this game just to kind of watch Booker and evaluate him and just see.
Yeah. He had some really nice pass blocks. Wasn't reaching, wasn't grabbing. He was striking. He was getting low in his sets. He was getting good depth in his pass sets. He looked really good. Obviously, we can't expect Zach Martin production year 1 because, and you can't even expect it in his career. You can never really expect Hall of Fame, even with a guy like Travis Hunter. You expect, I think, All Pro, and if he becomes a Hall of Famer, cool. But I liked how Booker looked. Running backs, look. Quarterbacks. We don't need to talk about quarterbacks. Joe Milton. Again, just looks completely lost out there right now. It's literally going to be, if Dak gets hurt, our season goes from probably not great to we are really screwed. It all rests on the quarterback, and I think Dak likes that. I think Dak likes he likes being the guy. What quarterback doesn't? But running back wise, Chase.
I know Javonte's looked solid. And I don't expect him to be the starter after week 5. I really think Jaden Blue is going to just showcase his skills and showcase his speed and flashiness and
fumbles.
Look, that's the one problem he had. But look,
I'm messing with you.
But there's no doubt on his athleticism and he is statistically the fastest running back in the draft. And I think that's just too big of a weapon that you have.
Yeah.
Out of a 5th round pick. To, really hide behind Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, whatever you're going to do. But I'm expecting Jaden Blue to take a big role and be play a big part in this team because I can't tell you, last time I was really, I guess Pollard's last year was when I was like, okay, we have a solid run game. Last couple of years, it's been all on Dak to make everything work in the passing game. And I think Jaden Blue, Javonte's not a threat. Miles Sanders isn't a threat. I think you have your threats in Jaden Blue and Malik Davis. And I think that's who we are going to be seeing later down the stretch. Hopefully, if the Cowboys are trying to make a wild card push.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Phil Malfa has looked exceptionally well.
Right.
Too.
There's just a lot of running backs that we have. A lot of
I think Miles Sanders gets cut. I think his vision just isn't there anymore. I think his speed isn't there anymore. But I like Javonte. I like bringing in Blue, and I think Maffa is going to get that third running back spot. Honestly,
I'd be very happy with it.
tight end wise, Ferguson.
They extended Ferg.
Hopefully Stevens stays healthy. Stevens could take over Schoonmaker's spot, but I mean, other than that, it's a pretty sad tight end group. Receiver group looks stacked actually. For once, we don't have a hope and a prayer out there playing for us. We don't have Dennis Houston starting a week 1 game for us anymore. We have CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Devontae Turpin, and then just kind of pick the next 3.
Calling this right now, and you're hearing it from me. End of the year, Trayshawn Holden, wide receiver 3. That's my call.
Obviously, Tolbert's in the mix. Flournoy's in the mix. Brooks doesn't deserve to play football. Doesn't deserve to play football anymore. Drops everything. I've made my thoughts on him very clear. He sucks. Get him off my football team. He cannot be trusted, in my opinion.
And Mingo hopefully will come back healthy.
Mingo getting hurt does kind of help make the decision a little bit. I think it'll probably be Flournoy, Tolbert, and Holden getting the last 3 roster spots as a receiver. But the offense has looked very stagnated. But of course, Lamb's not out there. Pickens. People are worrying about it. I'm like, look, it's kind of hard to worry about an offense. I know the play calls don't look great. I know you kind of have like the one's offensive line out there, but at the same time,
Schottenheimer's not calling.
It's
his
hard.
plays.
It's hard to. No, I think he's calling plays.
No, I know, but I mean, like, he's not showcasing what they're going to be doing during the regular season every single play.
It's hard because these guys are preparing in practice, and to look this poor in the preseason does raise some alarm bells. It does, especially when you already have doubts coming into the season. And you look like that, just so unprepared, so unphysical, so just lackadaisical. It's frustrating for fans. Defensively, though, we look pretty darn good. I'm gonna be honest. Corner Andrew Booth is still burnt toast. Had a nice pick 6 though. I like how they were like the announcers were trying to be like, oh yeah, Booth was baiting him, right? It's like no, Booth got burned last time, learned from his mistakes, and jumped the route this time. He didn't lose on purpose the last time to bait him. No, he just sucked last time, and he happened to be right this time. Sorry, but I really like how. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget his name. The guy, the nickel guy. I'm gonna forget the guy from Kentucky. I'm forgetting his name. Hopefully, you know who I'm talking about. I'm gonna look it up right now. But he has been playing exceptionally well in the nickel spot, especially since right now you don't have a nickel corner. If Diggs is not starting week 1, like right now, I think Kalen Carson's hurt. Cool. I think right now it's
Rebel's still hurt.
He's hurt. It's Deron Bland, Kyer Elam, and somebody.
Yeah, me.
Izzy, maybe. I mean, it's it's pretty bad. It's not good. It's this is not nope. This really sucks, actually. Carson's recovering from a knee injury. Diggs and Revel are both weeks. They haven't even taken the field yet. Diggs and Revel are still weeks from taking the field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Revel is just, we got to wait on Revel. He's going to be great. You just got to kind of give him some time to get it. We signed Michael Ojemudia because we have no corners right now. Didn't sign Stephon Gilmore, even though, man, do you understand how good I would feel with Elam, Gilmore, and Bland in the slot? I'd feel great about that week 1. And then you get Diggs back, and then Revel, and that's your corner group. That's a great corner group. Right now, you're 1 injury away from Andrew Booth starting a game for you, which is not good. Not good at all. Like it's actively a terrible idea to have that happen for your football team.
Yeah.
Ojemudia played well. I think it's in the UFL. Or is it one of the other leagues? He was playing pretty well. So hey, you never know.
So was Turpin. So hopefully,
it's just you're in a rough spot, corner wise, safety wise. Malik Hooker's still here. Hey, he's playing his best football with us, which is sorry Colts, but he's been playing really well here. Donovan Wilson. So you feel pretty decent about your safety group. They didn't play great last year, but we'll see how they play this year. I'm gonna get to I'm saving the best group for last. Defensive line. looks up and down. Defensive ends look pretty good. Ezra Raku has looked okay. The Houston has looked phenomenal. James Houston. So he may have played himself into a roster spot. Marshawn Nealon's looked great. Sam Williams has looked a bit rough around the edges. And then you have to talk about your defensive tackle position. It looks rough. Mozzie may get cut. Perion Winfrey may be starting games for you, which he's played pretty well. And I like him coming out of the draft. But, I mean, Jay Toia, you're hurting. You are hurting on the inside, which is where the best.
So is going to be a starter. Yeah.
Which is where I loved him out of UCLA in this draft class, but we'll see how he plays in the look. It's preseason. These games don't matter. They don't. You want to see how they look, but if they look bad in the regular season, then okay, your suspicion. This is where you. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, you're right.
You're gonna gain.
Agreeing with you.
You gain suspicion at this time of the year. You don't make any. Oh, this guy's gonna suck. No. By no means or should you be making conclusions from the preseason. You go, okay, I'm suspecting this guy may not be very good right now. And then you get to the regular season and he does, and he's great. I was wrong. But he gets to the regular season and he sucks, and you were right.
Yep.
And then you get to the linebackers, which is Eberflus's specialty. He was our linebackers coach for like 7 years. That's been his calling card as a defensive coach when he was with Indianapolis. That was what he did really well. Obviously, Darius Leonard had a great time there. Goes to the Bears, and they always had great linebacker play. I know Tremaine Edmonds helps with that, but they always had good linebacker play. And so right now,
and Roquan Smith,
but Flus, that's kind of his calling card of his defense is his linebackers play exceptionally well. And you're gonna kind of have a rotation right now. Obviously, Jack Sanborn has played pretty well in the preseason. Shamar James has played really well in the preseason. Damone Clark's been a little up and down, but he's flashing. Obviously, you're just kind of holding down the fort until Overshown gets back, and then Leufau's looked really good. So I mean, look, you feel even with Overshown out, you still feel great about that linebacker group, and then with Overshown back in, I feel like that linebacker group may be one of the best position groups on the team. Especially with how you have, especially with who you have as the coach. So I'm excited to see where this team is in the regular season. Week 1 is going to be a really tough battle against Philadelphia.
And especially if we don't have number 11 out there.
I'm getting to that. Trust me. I'm saving the pain for last.
I know.
We're not doing season predictions this week or next week. That will be the week of games. So just so that way gives us some time because we can't really predict rosters until I don't want to predict that the Eagles. I don't want to predict that. I'm trying to think of an example here. I don't want to predict that the Commanders win the division, but then Jaden Daniels gets hurt and is going to miss 6 weeks. Right? I don't want that to happen. Don't want that to happen. I'm just saying that things change.
It's like you don't do your fantasy draft until preseason's over, or until
Andrew Luck retires, or you get the wrong B. Robinson. Which, by the way, we have been linked to Brian Robinson Jr., which. I would love that. Honestly, I know that probably removes someone from the roster.
I'd be cool with it.
For like a little pick swap, sure. I like him coming out of Bama. Chase, I've talked a lot about the roster. Do you want to start? I'll let you because I feel like I've talked a lot.
That's fine.
I'll let you start with the whole.
I had my whole NBA spiel, so
for Micah, and I will go ahead and get the. Ready if you need it. It's just this button right here if you need it.
Got it.
Go ahead, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, what more to say than it just being a mess? And, I'm wondering, I'm waking up every morning and just waiting, hoping to see on my phone a notification from Ari Meiro of Adam Schefter just saying breaking Dallas Cowboys and star pass rusher Michael Parsons agreed on a 4-year, $205 million deal with $150 million guaranteed.
Or Ricky.
Something like that. Or who?
Or Ricky.
I don't follow him.
Don't follow him? I'll put you on.
Okay. I don't follow him.
But people that know.
But look, it is a mess. And look, I understand where Jerry's coming from. Micah signed a contract 3 years ago, or whatever it may have been. And Jerry expects you to play out your contract. And look, you signed the contract. You should live up to your contract. My dad was saying the other day, a good example is imagine going into work, you sign a 9-year contract with wherever you work, right? Like, after 8 years, I don't want to work anymore. I want a new deal. No, it doesn't work like that way. It doesn't work that way. You finish out your contract and you move on from there. So I understand where Jerry's coming from. He wants people to be loyal to what they signed. Am I going to want to play all 4 years before, or 3 years before his contract? Then he wouldn't have signed it. But also, I understand where Mike is coming from. He's one of the best, if not the best, defensive player in the league, and he deserves to be paid like the rest. And I know you don't want to take a chance of injury and not getting paid in your contract year. I get it. But look, I'm on Micah's side. I'm not saying I'm on Jerry's side. I'm on Micah's side. I want Jerry to wake up and just pay the man because he deserves it. And not that this team's winning anything anyway, but you're 100% not winning anything if Micah's not on the field.
Yeah.
You have a shot if everyone's healthy. You have Dak, CD, and Pickens on offense. You can win some games with that. You got Micah on defense. You can win some games by him. So I don't know what's going on. I know he waited to do Dak on literally the last day before, or maybe it was that morning.
It was that morning.
That morning before the Cleveland game. I mean, it's just Micah's not getting out. Micah's not getting any reps in. He's not. I know he's doing off the field stuff. I'm sure to where he's keeping his body conditioned, but he's not getting in the football mind, and it's just a mess. And I hope Jerry, with the season starting in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah,
2 weeks. I hope in the next week there could be a deal done, and Micah's happy, and all the Cowboy fans are happy, and Jerry's happy, and Micah can hop on that field for week 1 in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Again, pay the man, get him on the field, and win some games.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know how else to cover. He's showing up to practice. Obviously, he's not participating, but he's showing up. I know he requested a trade. I'm still on the part where I think he doesn't want to go anywhere. It's all part of the negotiation, and I get it, and I know Jerry gets it. But again, Jerry's never been in that situation where someone's threatened, to be traded, especially of a player of this caliber. And Jerry's got pressure on him right now to make the right decision.
Yeah,
I know he doesn't have to do anything, but you're not winning any games then.
Look,
so
you kind of touched on everything there.
I didn't mean to take up everything.
You're good. I have always been of the belief that if you want to hold out a training camp, if you want to hold out for your contract, that's fine. That's your right to do that. But when you miss games, I'm going to start judging you because for me personally, you've already made millions. Okay. Yeah, you could get hurt, but unless you get a freak, super rare injury, right? It's super rare. You're going to be playing again. Someone will give you a contract. Go ball out. Like I've always believed that if you're under contract, play. I'm sorry. You don't have to practice. If you don't want to come to practices during the week, that's fine. You just want to suit up on Sundays and the team's fine with that, do that then. You do you. But I judge when you start missing games and really affecting your team when you're under contract. Like, suck it up and play. But also, Jerry, pay him. He deserves it. Like I'm not someone that just says, "Oh, the stupid millionaire player." No, I will. More often than not, I will defend the athlete. Okay, but when you're under contract and you want to miss games, I have a problem with that because you're affecting your team for your own personal, selfish reasons. You're not to me. You're not playing the sport for the right reason. You're not playing it to win. You're playing it so you can make you can make your millions and go away. I don't like that. I don't think Micah will do that. I think Micah's too competitive to sit on the sidelines and watch his teammates play on the field without him. I think he loves football too much to do that. But I can't blame him for being frustrated with the team. We're not trading him. I don't see us trading him at all. I think it's probably going to be the week of or the day of or at some point after where, Jerry pays Micah. I think he'll pay them. I think he'll pay him. I think that all Jerry has done is prolong this, made it an entire soap opera. He's taking up headlines.
That's what he wants.
But that's what he wants. Jerry doesn't care about winning. Jerry just cares about it. As long as Jerry gets his headlines and his soap opera and to use his quote, his sizzle, he's happy. And we all get to suffer for it. So thank you, Jerry Jones, for buying this football team and ruining everything 30 years after you finally did something worthwhile. Super frustrating as a Cowboys fan to go into a season and like I feel like I'm more excited for the fact that football's starting than this is probably the first year. Last year I actually had excitement. I don't know why I did, but I did.
I did not.
This year
yeah.
is the first year in a lot of years that I have truly, it's maybe the first year ever that I've gone into a season and I'm arguably more excited about the fact that football's back and I get to watch live tape and I get to, grind the tape on Tuesday nights again. I think I'm more excited because I'm going to start being more consistent with that. I think now that I think I'm more excited about that than the Cowboys playing. The Cowboys feel like a chore. I'm gonna have to watch them because I'm a fan, and then I'm gonna have to watch the film, but then I'm just waiting to watch everything else. And that's all because Jerry Jones.
I was the opposite last year. Last year, I had no faith in the team. I don't think they had any bright spots. I was like, they're going to be a 7-win team, 8-win team, and that's it. This year, where they actually went out and got another Pro Bowl receiver to put next to CD, and if they bring back Micah, they have some really good players on this team. Well, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Oh no.
I just think that they
Barring
have
a
a ton
miracle.
of talent on their team, on this team, to be like, maybe we can make it in the playoffs. And then look, when you're in the playoffs, it comes down to one game, So
We have enough talent.
they have enough talent to win some games. And
Let's go through the NFC purely based on talent alone.
I still just put Philly, Detroit, maybe Green Bay above them. I think Minnesota's gonna have a little bit of a setback here. I think the Niners, they lost. I mean, they're not healthy. They lost a lot of players. I don't think the Niners have us beat anywhere.
Commanders, they got better.
We'll see with McLaurin's situation. He's holding out too.
He's got to get paid.
Anyway, I don't know. Look, I think the Cowboys are a top 5 team talent-wise in the NFC. Now, I think the AFC is where the powerhouses are.
Well, I mean, yeah. If you look at the top 4, I think we can all agree, and I know people. You probably know this. I don't like quarterback lists.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't like. It's just because I may have Mahomes at 4, and you go, well, how can you have Mahomes at 4? It's like, well, I'm basing it off last year, and then it gets into a whole, you don't know ball and blah blah blah, and then you just, judging quarterbacks is difficult. But everyone can agree the top 4 quarterbacks in football are, and this is in no order: Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. All 4 AFC quarterbacks. So,
And then you talk about Justin Herbert, AFC.
yeah.
And I mean, look, obviously the AFC, which if they made the Super Bowl, that's where they play them, and I don't think they have a chance and against any AFC team. But look, I think the NFC is a little weak. I even think Detroit got worse because they lost Ben Johnson.
By the way, they let the wrong team represent the AFC last year. That's the only reason the NFC won the Super Bowl was because of the powerhouse AFC teams. The wrong one won. I think if it was the Ravens or the Bills, I mean, no, the Eagles are a powerhouse. They're still the best roster in football. I mean, I'm being serious. Like, they are the best roster in football.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be a juggernaut this year, barring injuries. And so, look, just pay Micah, and we move on. Figure out the pie. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
The cap goes up every year. You've cost yourself more money by not paying him. Yeah, he might get hurt, Jerry. That happens. It's called professional sports. You don't like it? Get into a new business. Go back to go back to the oil business. But even then, rigs break down. Things go wrong. So guess what? That's life.
And you got to pay.
You want a business. I've never really met a businessman that's so adverse to risk. It just doesn't completely and this is the guy that likes to brag about what a gamble it was for him to buy the Cowboys. This is the only gamble he's made with the Cowboys. He got his, and to be fair, if you're Jerry, why change? You have billions of dollars, an empire. You have billions of dollars, an empire to give to your children. You have a Super Bowl jacket. Sorry, 3 Super Bowl wins, a Hall of Fame jacket. What more do you need? What more? You're good. You've accomplished all you can in life, except winning more championships, and you don't care about that. So we get to all suffer for that. So thank you, Jerry, for screwing with all of our hopes and dreams. Happy football is going to be back this week. Hey, college football, Iowa State, Kansas State, week 0. Always the most boring league of college football ever. But it's still college football. And then because this week, this is well, no, actually, something's different this week because usually it's week 1 of college. It's usually high school starts, then college, then football. But this year, I guess high school and college are starting the same week. And then, anyway, point is, football's
Yep.
coming back. The Rangers suck. And where's my
There you go.
Jerry Jones? Bye.
See you guys.
Yeah, see y'all next week. Oh yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that this is if you didn't catch it, this is where we will be from now on, in this studio. I'm excited for it. We do have comments available. I'm making everyone aware.
I made no one aware it was live because I just found out this week it was going to be live. I didn't really have time to let everybody know. Oh yeah, it's going to be live this week. That's why no one is watching this live. We have been talking to nobody, Chase. I've looked at the thing, but hopefully we're talking to some people that are watching it back. The recording schedule will be a little bit crazy. It may be on a Tuesday.
With work for me, it's just
It may be
I have
in
no
class
idea.
for me, maybe
Yeah.
on a Wednesday, a Thursday, but it'll be